Animation, if done right, can lead to beautiful storytelling and satisfying gameplay. But if done wrong, can lead to the most ugly, terrifying, runaway, my eyes are hurting experience. And those animations you just saw, yeah, I made those. I want to be a better animator. It's time to buckle down and spend the next 7 days learning how to animate. Day one, I was feeling good. By the end of this, I want to make good looking 3D animation, specifically 3D video game animation. But in order to do that, I had to learn fast. And so I thought learning the fundamentals of animation would be the strongest start. So I went to the vastest library of knowledge in the world, YouTube. I found this video called The 12 Principles of Animation. And it was exactly what I was looking for. The video opened my eyes to how systematic animation actually is. Here I'm practicing the squash and stretch principle. I found squash and stretch very easy to understand. It's simply a method to tell the viewer how soft or stiff an object is, or it can be used to exaggerate certain emotions or actions. So I decided to try my hand at animating a character. You can see that this is a man trying to fart, and then he realizes that it wasn't just a fart. I had way too much fun making this one. I then showed the animation I just made to my dog Hero, but like always, he wasn't impressed. One day I'll impress him. After that, I decided to watch some animated movies and TV shows, you know, for research. And I noticed that animators apply these techniques to the tiniest things, like the stretching of her pupils to resemble twitchy fast eye movements. Oh gosh, now I can't unsee it. So I just made eyes. I was surprised about how well this technique actually worked for eye movement, and I was proud that I made something that was kind of satisfying to stare at. I then practiced making more eyes and a couple other animations, some better than others. And with that, the end of the day had arrived and it was time to look on to the next. Last night I was thinking, if I'm going to be making good looking 3D animation, I'm going to have to move a lot quicker. But every time I get into 3D, I always give up. So I came up with a plan. I'll spend today setting up the 3D character, and then I'll have 5 more full days to go hard in animation. I got this dude from another project I was working on. I'm gonna give him a tiny makeover. I gave him some clothes, some hair, a katana. I'm not so sure why he's wearing business casual clothes and he has a katana, but hey, it's a video game. I then gave him some bones that allowed me to start moving and rotating certain body parts. Hooked up some inverse kinematics, which just allows me to move certain parts of the body that affect other parts of the body, rather than having to move every individual bone. And by this point, I was all prepped for animation. I'm going to start with an idle pose. I started working, but things came to a quick stop as I ran into the first true challenge. Man, every time I get into 3D, I seem to always have problems with my mesh getting scrunched up like this. I was getting pretty annoyed, but after spending a couple hours trying to figure out what was going on, I found out I had to just properly weight paint the model, which is just a way to define how much a bone should affect a particular area of the mesh. Red has the most influence, green has little influence, and blue has no influence. As you can see here, the weight of the upper arm was coming into the body of the character, hence a la scrunch. And with that problem fixed, it was time to finish up the idle pose. This guy looks edgy. I like it. After some solid progress and the end of the day approaching, I decided to leave on a high note and get some rest. I felt like I was making good progress and I felt lighthearted, but I had an ambitious goal. I want to make a run cycle, sprint cycle, jump, dash, like a roll or a dash, and then let's say three sword. And with 4 days left and 7 animations to create, I had to move fast. I think I'm gonna start with the jump animation today because it seems like the easiest thing to do. I thought it'll be simple, right? Right? I was wrong. What is even happening? And after hours and hours of banging my head against the keyboard, I finally got it to kind of work. What is this, Mario? Woohoo! Is that Mario? I realized I completely underestimated the jump. I actually had to make 4 separate animations: the anticipation phase, the in-air phase, the falling phase, and the landing phase, and they all had to look seamless. I wasn't exactly proud of the jump, but if I wanted to make all the animations, I had to move on. I thought if I can knock out this jump, then I can easily animate the run cycle. I was wrong. Again. What is this weird transition? How do I make that stop? Why does it look so robotic? This would be nice if I was animating a breakdancer. God, how do I make it look like he's not sliding around? I kept running into challenges and started to get really frustrated. But at this point, it was getting late, and I had started doubting if I'd be able to make all of the other animations. I was losing hope. How am I supposed to do sword attacks, which seem like way more complicated than a freaking run cycle or a jump? I didn't even get the run cycle done today. I think I just need to chill, get some rest, and then we'll see how far I get with the challenge. Good night. So I keep telling myself I need to work fast, but I think I really just need to work smart. And so I came up with a plan to complete this run cycle. I recorded a bunch of game footage from some animations I like. These animations normally happen so fast, it's hard to see what the animation really looks like. I'm gonna bring it into my video editing software so I can analyze it frame by frame. I was able to see the important poses: contact, down, when the character is at its lowest point, kickoff. I then took a ton of notes and took some screenshots as reference. I was starting to see and understand things I didn't before. It's actually in mid-air on the up. More overlapping action seems like a common All these animations are really overemphasizing. I need to do that more. My guy looks so freaking This was the next level, and it was time to get revenge. I decided to redo the run cycle from scratch. It instantly started to look better, and I felt like things were starting to click. To make it look like he's not sliding, I just calculated how far his feet moved on the ground, and then changed the speed of the player to kind of match that. I think it works well. I also started working with animation curves, which was terrifying at first. What am I even looking at? But after I learned how they worked, they actually became kind of fun to tweak. I felt like I was getting the hang of things. And it allowed me to start being more artistic. So I'm trying to make him look stern like Sekiro, because I feel like it brings out the confidence in the character. This is good though, I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. And by the end of the day, I had a run animation that was much better than any animation I had ever made. It wasn't perfect, but I was freaking proud. And I felt like if I went hard the next couple days, then maybe, just maybe, I could beat this challenge. I had hope. For the next couple days, I was grinding. I was getting real comfortable with the basic fundamentals and tools, to the point where I didn't have to stop to look up how to do something every 5 minutes. I made a sprint animation. Wait a second. What's wrong with his arm? What the? Oh, wrong clip. Sorry. I made a sprint animation where I learned that making an animation feel right isn't just movements the characters make. I added this camera transition when you enter the sprint that feels way better. I also added some dust that he kicks up from his feet. Seen it in other games. Some anime fast lines on the screen when he enters the sprint. I can keep going and going with this. I really like the sprint I had just made. I also made a dash animation that was inspired by Sekiro's, and those sword attacks I was stressing about earlier, they weren't too bad. They were a little more challenging to do, but I started to realize I needed more exaggeration and circular motion, and then they started to look better. He takes a step every time he attacks. Cool, they combo together well. I was able to make all the animations I wanted to make except one, which was just the third sword attack, but I wasn't too worried. I was happy I pushed through, and although these animations are pretty amateur, they're the best animations I've ever made, and that was good enough for me. If you want to see more game dev and programmer things, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to help me out. I'm glad you're here.